Hi, I am Sanjay Patel. In this lecture, we are going to learn some important results on Cauchy sequences. So in this regard, let me start with the first important theorem. And it says, this theorem 1 says that every Cauchy sequence of real numbers is always bounded. So let me write down the statement. Every Cauchy sequence of real numbers is always bounded. Okay, every Cauchy sequence of real numbers is always bounded. You know what is the Cauchy sequence? We have done some problems and the definition of Cauchy sequence in the last lecture. A sequence xn is said to be a Cauchy sequence if for every epsilon greater than 0, we can find some positive integer n0 such that for all m and n greater than or equal to n0 implies mod of xn minus xm is less than epsilon. You know this condition for the Cauchy sequence. Okay. So let me prove the theorem. Say proof of the theorem is it goes like this. Let xn be a Cauchy sequence. Xn be a Cauchy sequence. Okay, in R, or Cauchy sequence of real numbers. We want to prove that it is a bounded sequence. Since it is a Cauchy sequence, it satisfies the definition what we have discussed just now. For every epsilon, it will satisfy that condition of the definition. So in particular, if I take epsilon is equal to 1 greater than 0, then also that condition will be satisfied. So for epsilon is equal to 1, there exists some n0 belongs to n such that for every m and n greater than or equal to n0 implies mod of say xn minus xm is less than epsilon, that is 1. Okay, and if this is so, I can say in particular I can take some value, say in particular, remember that this above condition is true for all m and n which are greater than or equal to the fixed number n0. So if I fix say m is equal to n0, we can write the above condition. We can write the above condition as for every n greater than or equal to n0 implies mod of xn minus xn0 is less than 1. Remember, I have made this m fixed. Okay, just putting m is equal to n0 because this condition is true. This condition is true for all m and n which are greater than or equal to n0. So I am replacing m by n0. Okay, so from this what can I say is let me write this. Okay, so what I am going to do is if I consider say mod of xn, okay, mod of xn, then this I can write as say xn minus xn0 plus xn0. Just add and subtract the term xn0 in this. Okay, so now I'm grouping these two terms together and this single term separately. So we have something like mod of a plus b. So this I can write as, by applying the triangular inequality obviously, less than or equal to mod of xn minus xn0 plus mod of xn0. Remember that if this n is greater than or equal to n0, let me call this as result number 1, which we have just noted. So I can write this is less than 1 by result number 1, and this xn0 is a fixed number, so this will remain as it is. And remember that this is true only if the value of n is greater than or equal to n0, and this is because of result number 1. Remember, mod of xn0 is a constant because xn0 is a particular term of the sequence. So this I can call this number as k. Let me write this as k is equal to, say, k. So what I have proved here is, what I have proved is, if n is greater than or equal to n0, then mod of xn is less than the number k, correct? That means this condition is true if n is equal to n0, n is equal to n0 plus 1. Suppose n0 is say 10, okay? Suppose if I take this n0 is equal to 10, then this condition is true for n is equal to 10, 11, 12 and so on, for all infinitely many integers, okay? After 10 onwards, this condition holds true. So just we have to worry about the previous terms, because we want to prove that the sequence xn is bounded. Our aim is every Cauchy sequence is bounded. So I should prove mod of xn is less than or equal to some constant for every n. What I have proved is just for some n0 onwards, say 10 onwards, the terms of the sequence are less than this constant. What about the remaining previous terms 1 to 9, or say 1 to n0 minus 1? We can do this, and that is a simple logic. Let us put number capital M is equal to maximum of mod of say x1, mod of x2 and so on up to mod of xn0 minus 1. Remember this. And also I'm including the number k. Okay, so these are finite many terms and this is a fixed number. So out of all this, what we can conclude is the number capital M is obviously positive, because M is the maximum of all this. So M is a positive real number. And not only that, we have this condition also, that if you take mod of xn, okay, then it is always less than or equal to m. See, if n is equal to 1, then mod of x1 is less than or equal to m, because m is the maximum of mod of x1, x2, x3 and xn0 minus 1. So if n is from say 1 to n0 minus 1, then mod of xn is less than or equal to m is obvious because of this definition of the number m. And for other terms, we have proved that mod of xn is less than k. So in any case, we have proved that this thing is true for every n is equal to 1, 2, 3 and so on. And hence the sequence xn is bounded. The sequence xn is bounded sequence. So what I have proved here is every Cauchy sequence is bounded. So if xn is a Cauchy sequence, then it is always a bounded sequence. Let us go to the next result. What I want to prove is a relation between the two concepts. We know we have defined two things about sequences. One is convergence sequence and other is Cauchy sequence. We want to learn what is the relation between the two concepts. Okay, what is the definition of convergence sequence? You know, if limit of a sequence xn exists, that is said to be a convergence sequence. Just recall the definition of limit of a sequence. You know, limit xn is equal to x. We say that limit n tends to infinity, xn is equal to x if for every epsilon there exists some n0 such that for all n greater than or equal to n0 implies mod of xn minus x is less than epsilon. And the definition of Cauchy sequence, what we have studied just now, has the condition that for all m and n greater than or equal to n0, for some n0, we have mod of xn minus xm less than epsilon. So what is the relation between these two conditions? That we want to understand. Can you guess? Means my question is, what can we say very obviously? A sequence is Cauchy, then it is convergent? Or if a sequence is convergent, then it is Cauchy. What is obvious? The obvious thing is this part. Every convergent sequence is always a Cauchy sequence. So let us prove the theorem. Let me remove this. Okay, so I am going to prove the theorem. It is prove that every convergent sequence is a Cauchy sequence. Is a Cauchy sequence. So let us prove this result. So the proof, we must start with a convergent sequence. Let xn be a convergent sequence. Let xn be a convergent sequence. That is, limit n tends to infinity, xn exists and is equal to, say, some number x. This limit exists and it is some real number. We want to prove that this sequence xn is a Cauchy sequence. So I will start with the given epsilon. Say, let me take epsilon greater than 0 be given. Okay. My aim is to find some n0 such that for all m and n greater than or equal to that n0, we have mod of xm minus xn less than epsilon. This is our requirement to prove the sequence xn is Cauchy sequence. What is given is only this thing, that limit xn is equal to x exists. So for this epsilon, I can take epsilon by 2. So I can say since, by result number 1, for epsilon by 2 greater than 0, there exists some n0 belongs to n such that for every n greater than or equal to n0 implies mod of xn minus x is less than epsilon by 2. So just I am using the definition of limit of sequence for epsilon is equal to epsilon by 2. From this epsilon, it is a given number. I am taking half of it and applying the definition of limit of the sequence. Now this condition is true for every n greater than or equal to n0. So if I choose say n is equal to m greater than or equal to n0, then also I can say I will have xm minus x less than epsilon by 2. Remember that this condition is true for all n, whatever n you choose which is bigger than this n0. n0 is a fixed number, fixed natural number. Okay. Now what happens is if we take the difference m and n like this for any m and n greater than or equal to n0, the same n0 I'm using here, we have mod of xn minus xm. If I consider this, okay, then this I can write as mod of say xn minus x plus x minus xm. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm adding and subtracting the real number x in this modulus. Then applying the triangle inequality, I can rewrite this as xn minus x plus x minus xm. But because of our m and n are greater than or equal to n0, and for such m and n which are greater than n0, result 2 and result 3 both are true. So I can say that this quantity is less than epsilon by 2, and this quantity is also less than epsilon by 2 because of 2 and 3. So this is equal to finally epsilon. So what I have proved, very simple. For any given epsilon, we have some n0 such that for all m and n greater than or equal to n0 implies mod of xn minus xm is less than epsilon. So let me rewrite it. So we have proved that thus for every epsilon greater than 0 there exists some n0 belongs to n such that for all m and n greater than or equal to n0 implies mod of xm minus xn or xn minus xm, both are same, is less than epsilon, and therefore the sequence xn is a Cauchy sequence. A sequence xn is a Cauchy sequence. So what I have proved in this theorem is every convergent sequence is always a Cauchy sequence. Okay, the converse, that a Cauchy sequence is convergent, is not true in a general form, but it is true for sequence of real numbers or sequences in R. If you take all if you take the main set, underlying set as the set of real numbers, then every Cauchy sequence of real numbers is always convergent in R. This statement is true, and we are going to prove as our next very important theorem. But remember, instead of R, if I take Cauchy sequence in some other system other than the set of real numbers, then this will not be true, which I'll be discussing after the proof of this very important theorem. So let me write down the statement of this next important theorem. And this theorem plays a very important role in say in the study of matrix spaces. So what I am going to prove here is every Cauchy sequence in R, every Cauchy sequence in R is always a convergent sequence. Is always a convergent sequence. So let us prove this theorem. Here we must start with a Cauchy sequence and we'll prove that it is convergent. So let us consider xn be any Cauchy sequence, in R, any Cauchy sequence in R. Okay, we know that every Cauchy sequence in R is always bounded. So I can write that this implies xn is a bounded sequence in R. Okay, and we know the very important result about bounded sequence of real numbers, which is known as the Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem, and that I have proved in the previous lecture. So I am using that theorem, and so I can say by the Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem BWT, this xn, the sequence xn, must have at least one convergent subsequence. So xn has at least one convergent subsequence. Okay, so let us take this convergent subsequence. Let this subsequence of the sequence xn be, say, xn k. So this is a subsequence of the given sequence, and by Bolzano theorem, as we have written, it has a convergent subsequence, means the limit of this subsequence exists. So therefore I can say that xn k converges to x for some x belongs to R, for some real number x. Okay, so this is an important thing. Let us call it as the number 1. So given Cauchy sequence xn, what we have done is, applying the Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem, we have obtained a subsequence xnk which is convergent, and it is converging to the number x. The interesting thing here is, I will be proving that the same x is the limit of the original sequence xn. If I prove that the sequence xn converges to x, then the theorem will be proved. Okay, so what I am going to do next is we'll prove that we shall show that the sequence xn also converges to x. So this is my aim. Once this is proved, the theorem is over. It is proved that the given Cauchy sequence xn is convergent. Now how to prove that xn converges to x? You know the definition of limit of a sequence. For any given epsilon, we must find some n0 such that for all n greater than or equal to n0 implies mod of xn minus x is less than epsilon. So I'll be finding some n0 for any arbitrary epsilon. Okay, so let me start this way. Say let epsilon greater than 0 be given. Now from this epsilon, I will divide into two parts, say epsilon by 2, and this epsilon by 2 I will be using for the fact that xn is a Cauchy sequence. So first, as xn is a Cauchy sequence, for this epsilon by 2, I'm using this first epsilon by 2 greater than 0, there exists some positive integer which I would like to call, say, n1 belongs to n, such that for every say m and n greater than or equal to n1 implies mod of xm minus xn, or you can write mod of xn minus xm, both are same, is less than epsilon by 2. Let us call this as result number 2. Okay. Now the remaining epsilon by 2, this I will be using for another fact which is written in result 1. You know what is result 1? It is xn k converges to x. That means limit k tends to infinity, xn k is equal to x. Okay. So let me write. Now by result number 1, that is xn a converges to x, for epsilon by 2 greater than 0, we can find another positive integer, say n2 belongs to n, such that for every nk greater than or equal to n2 implies mod of xnk minus x is less than epsilon by 2. Okay. Now I want result 2 and 3 both holds simultaneously. Result 1 is true for all values of m and n greater than or equal to n1. So what I am going to do is I will choose the maximum of n1 and n2. So let us put n0 is equal to maximum of n1 and n2. This means two things. First of all, since n0, n1 and n2 both are natural numbers, n0 is also a natural number. And since n0 is maximum, n0 is greater than or equal to n1, and n0 is also greater than or equal to n2. Now I will be using this n0 and prove that the given Cauchy sequence is convergent, like this. What I am going to do next is this: if n is greater than or equal to n0, then the difference xn minus x is equal to, I can write this as xn minus, say xnk plus xnk and minus x. What I am going to do here is adding and subtracting xnk, and then I would like to form these two groups, this thing xn minus xnk and xnk minus x. And now we have something like mod of a plus b. This is a, this is a, this is b, mod of a plus b, and it is always less than or equal to mod a plus mod b. So I can write that this is less than or equal to mod of xn minus xnk, where xnk is some particular term of the subsequence. So plus xnk minus x. Okay, remember this. So this, here we have used the triangle inequality. So I can say by the triangle inequality. This we could have written because of that thing. Now this xn minus xnk, I have chosen my n greater than or equal to n0. Okay, so n is greater than or equal to n1 and n is greater than or equal to n2 both. Since n is greater than or equal to n1, okay, and if I choose this nk also greater than or equal to say n0, then I can use this result number 2 and write that this is less than epsilon by 2. But the important here is if nk is greater than n0, and that is possible. The sequence xnk has infinite many terms. I can take any one subscript nk which is greater than n0, and the corresponding term of the subsequence xnk I can use here, and for that term which is fixed here, I can say mod of xn minus xnk is less than epsilon by 2 because of result number 2. And the second thing the second modulus, xnk minus x. Again nk is greater than n0, so nk is greater than n2 also, because n0 is greater than n2, and hence I can use result 3 also, and for the second term I can write this is less than epsilon by 2. So finally this is equal to epsilon. Okay, so what I have proved, that for every n, whatever n we choose which is greater than or equal to n0, this difference is less than epsilon. So let me write again. Thus we have proved that for every epsilon greater than 0, because epsilon was arbitrary, there exists the positive integer n0 such that for any n greater than or equal to n0 implies mod of xn minus x is less than epsilon. See, for every n greater than or equal to n0, mod of xn minus x is less than this epsilon. So that is limit n tends to infinity, xn is equal to x is proved. This thing is proved, and that implies the sequence xnk is a convergent sequence. So xn is a convergent sequence. What was xn? Xn was a Cauchy sequence, and we have proved that it is convergent. Thus every Cauchy sequence in R is always convergent. So we have proved here that a Cauchy sequence of real numbers is convergent. But remember that this result is not true in a general matrix space. It need not be true always. So what I want to say is this very important remark. So let me write as a remark. Say a Cauchy sequence in, say, a matrix space, in an arbitrary matrix space, say x comma d need not be convergent. In our case, x is equal to r. So in a set of real numbers with our standard distance function mod of x minus y, we can show that every Cauchy sequence of real numbers is always convergent. But if I take, say, this matrix space, say if I take x is equal to open 0 closed 1, and with the same usual distance function dxy is equal to mod of x minus y on this, then for the sequence 1 upon n, this sequence 1 upon n is a Cauchy sequence. This is a Cauchy sequence in x, which is open 0 closed 1. Remember, all terms of the sequence lies between 0 and 1. Terms of this sequence are 1, 1 by 2, 1 by 3, all belongs to this x. So it is a Cauchy sequence in x, that is proved already. And the limit of this sequence we know is 0 as n tends to infinity. Okay, but this 0 limit does not belong to x, because x equal to open 0 closed 1. Okay, so we know limit of a sequence if x is always unique. So this has only one limit, which is 0, but it is not an element of the set x. So I can say that the sequence 1 upon n is not convergent in this x open 0 closed 1. So every Cauchy sequence in an arbitrary matrix space need not be convergent. That is the main thing I want to highlight here. But if this condition that every Cauchy sequence in a given matrix space is always convergent is satisfied, means if x comma d is a matrix space, and if we can show that every Cauchy sequence in that matrix space is always convergent, then such a matrix space is called a complete matrix space. Such a matrix space is known as complete matrix space. So this complete matrix space concept you will be going to study in another course of analysis. So just I want to give an extra information that a Cauchy sequence need not be convergent in all the systems. Okay, but in our case, remember, both are equivalent, means the concept of Cauchy sequence and the concept of convergent sequence is same. So I can combine the two theorems what I have proved earlier and write that a sequence of real numbers, so this is very important, sequence of say real numbers is convergent if and only if it is a Cauchy sequence. It is a Cauchy sequence. So remember, for a real number system, both are equivalent, or I can say in terms of this concept that a real number is a complete matrix space. Okay, so we'll be studying some more things in the next lecture. Thank you.